We want to awaken leaders to their potential. We want to empower them to say, hey, I can see it now and I want to go reach for it. And then we want to equip them with the tools to fulfill that potential. You see, when we awaken leaders, now this only happens when you invest in people, when you invest in leaders. But when we awaken them, when we empower them, and then we equip them with the tools, something changes. Hey there, my friend. Welcome to the Leadership Table podcast. My name is Chad Reyes, and I'm the host of today's podcast. And I can't wait to spend some time with you on the 10 benefits of investing in leaders. Now, I may be a little bit biased because I love developing leaders. I love developing people, and I love watching people reach their full potential. You know, I wrote a book, Awaken Your Potential, and the whole book is written around leaders reaching their God-given potential. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is today I'm going to share with you on today's podcast the 10 benefits of investing in leaders. A lot of the times when we hear about leaders, we hear people sharing it from the things that maybe they struggled or the times they were burnt because they invested in someone and they left. But I'm going to talk to you about the 10 benefits. And one of the things that I want to share with you before we get started, and I'll give you some data behind it too, is probably about 20 years ago, I had heard someone share this with me. Really impacted me. Now, think about this for a moment. If you had the ability to choose Tiger Woods clubs or Tiger Woods swing, Tiger Woods in his prime was one of the best golf players ever. If you had the choice to either have his swing or his golf clubs, which one would you choose? Now, I know most people would say, I want the golf swing, because if I have his swing, if I have his technique, if I have his methodology of doing it, then you could give me any clubs and I'm going to be world class. You see, the clubs didn't make Tiger Woods. It was how he developed himself, how he grew. And the reason why I'm sharing that is a lot of the times when we're in leadership, when we're running organizations, we look at developing our people as almost like something that's secondary. We look at, well, why would I invest that time there? But today I want to tell you about the 10 benefits of investing in leaders. The 10 benefits of why you should develop your people. I'm going to give you some statistics here, okay? This is one of the amazing things that 99% of the people that have gone through coaching that were surveyed through the ICF, the International Coalition of the International Coaching Federation, has stated this. 99% of the people that have received coaching were better off after the coaching. Their people were more excited, more refined, better clarity. Now watch this. 80% of them felt they had improved self-confidence. 73% said there was improved relationships. 72% improved their communication skills, and 67% had better work-life balance. These are some of the things we're going to talk about today. These are some of the things of the benefits of investing in people. And this is great. Think of this. 86% of the companies that were surveyed found that there was a return on their investment in developing people. And we're going to unpack these things today. I want to share with you the first benefit is work performance. The first benefit of investing in leaders is they perform better. When we develop people, they become better. Now, this is the amazing thing. Whether you're developing them to grow your organization or whether you're developing them just because you want to see people just reach their potential, the great thing about it is this: their work performance gets better. Why does it get better? It gets better because when we have people that are properly equipped, their lives are transformed. I want to give you this methodology we use, right? It's called awaken, empower, and equip. We want to awaken leaders to their potential. We want to empower them to say, hey, I can see it now and I want to go reach for it. And then we want to equip them with the tools to fulfill that potential. You see, when we awaken leaders, now this only happens when you invest in people, when you invest in leaders. But when we awaken them, when we empower them, and then we equip them with the tools, something changes. My friend, something radically changes, because what happens now is we start seeing the people perform better. I often get asked this when we're coaching organizations. They say, Chad, I'm having a struggle with this person. And I say, okay, help me understand. Which one of the C's are you struggling with? Are you struggling with their character? Are you struggling with their competency? Or are you struggling with their confidence? You see, as a leader, if we invest in people and we're able to clearly understand which one they're going through, then we can develop them. And guess what? When we develop them and we recognize that it's a competency issue, well, then we can get them the right training to develop their skill set. When we recognize it's a confidence issue, well, then we can develop them and grow them as a leader. When maybe they're dealing with some character flaws, well, we can say to them, hey, listen, I can see that this is an area that you're struggling in, and this is an area that I'd like to be able to talk through and work through and keep you accountable in. Helps develop character. You see, that's the power of investing in people. The first thing is work performance. Their performance grows. Listen to this. Companies with highly engaged employees experience 21% higher profitability. 21%. And my friend, every organization makes a choice. It's either you develop your people or you don't develop your people. We often joke around. We were at a conference and our team put together something pretty cool. They put together this thing that said it was the CFO talking to the CEO, and there were two lions, right? So the one lion, which is the CFO, says to the CEO, and that's the lion, and says, "What happens if we develop our people and they leave?" The CEO says, "What happens if we don't develop our people and they stay?" Powerful, because investing in people is going to bring a great return for work performance. That's the first benefit of investing in leaders. Let me give you the second one. It's business management. You know what? I want to go back to the first one for a moment. As I'm going through my notes and I'm looking, I also think this is that a question that you have to be thinking about is what systems and processes have you put in place to help your people perform better? I often talk about the 4-lid methodology that we created. The 4-lid methodology is every organization has lids. John Maxwell talks about the law of the lid, and he talks about how leadership ability, can tremendously be impacted. And we've kind of unpacked it and went a little bit further with it and said, well, there's really 4 lids. There's the thoughts and beliefs of the organization and the leaders. There's the leadership ability. Then there's the organizational alignment, and then there's systems and processes. And in every organization, to increase performance of your team members, how do you develop those 4 areas? How do you help them to have better thoughts and beliefs so that the organization shows up and they're thinking better? How do you develop leadership capacity and leadership ability by developing your leaders and not just talking about leadership, but actually developing them and giving them skill sets that will help them grow and become more effective to increase their work performance? Then organizational alignment. How is the things that they're doing leading towards the common mission, the common vision? And then last, systems and processes. What systems, what processes, what technology has to be put in place so that these things don't become lids to your people and what they can accomplish? If you think about this, if you're in today's modern world, and you're using a lot of manual stuff, you don't have automation, you don't have AI, and you're doing all it manually, how are you giving your people the best chance to perform? But by investing in your people, investing in systems and processes, you increase work performance. Let me give you number 2. Business management. The benefits of business management. Think about this. If we manage the business better, and what is a business? A business is really comprised of people. It's people and systems and processes. People, systems, and processes. So if we develop those 3 things, Our business management, our business is going to grow. So one of the benefits of investing in people is your business management gets better, because your people, if you invest in them and you develop them and you grow them, guess what's going to happen? They're going to help you grow the organization, because they're going to be thinking like a leader. They're going to be thinking about solving problems and coming up with solutions. They're not checking boxes. Leaders don't check boxes. Leaders solve problems. Leaders come up with solutions. Leaders see further. They see more. That's the second benefit of investing in people. Let me give you this, the third. The third benefit is more effective time management. You know, think about this for a moment. A lot of people, sometimes they talk about, well, why would I do coaching? I'm going to tell you the reason why. Because the greatest leaders, the greatest athletes, the greatest business people, the greatest entrepreneurs, the greatest, you name it, violinists, the greatest sports players, they all have coaches. And what does the coach do? The coach doesn't point out everything that they do wrong. What a coach does is they come into your life, they see what you could do, and then they help start raising lids in your life. They start walking into your life and saying, hey, listen, if we worked on this, what would be possible? Hey, if we worked on that, what would be possible? Hey, take away all the struggles and everything you see in the business and just tell me what you would want that business to one day look like. And now you get to dream. That's what coaches do. They walk into your life, they get you to dream, and then they help you accomplish that dream. So time management. I want to share this example. I was working with a client of ours that has probably about $30 million a year in payroll. We have clients that are bigger than that. We have clients that are smaller than that. But I'm just sharing with you, and this a real example. And I said to them, I said, the reason why coaching is so important, and we're already doing coaching with them, but the reason why coaching is so important, it's because it's managing the greatest asset that your company has, which is your people and the amount of hours that they are able to perform the work that they need to do. Now you think about that for a moment. If you have a $30 million payroll, some of you have 300 million, some of them are 3 billion, some of them are 3 million. Some people have $30,000 a year in payroll. But if that is your payroll, the greatest way that you can get the greatest maximization of return on investment is by utilizing your team as effectively as possible. And your team has time, their time management, their ability to, when they show up, to use that time effectively. That's the benefit of investing in your people, because you help them develop better time management skills. You know, think about this, how often we major on the minor things. Most businesses major on the minor things. There's things that need to get done that are minor, and they become major in that person's life. We use this concept called rocks. I want to give you the concept for a moment. And the reason why is by using this definition of rocks, you manage your time better. You become a better prioritizer. You become a better manager of the time that you do have. Now, you may say, Chad, how do we manage time better? You manage time better by managing priorities. Not everything needs your time. Not everything is number one. But the one priority I could tell you is investing in your people. That's one thing that every leader should have at the top of their priority list for many reasons. One is it's just good business. But two, it also brings the greatest return. And I can prove that to you with numbers. I'm not going to spend the time going through all of that on today's podcast. But the return on investing in your people is priceless, and it's endless. When you look over 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, you know what happens? People just look at it over a 12-month period of time or a 6-month period of time. I remember many years ago, I had a coach who said to me, he said, Chad, you share that, you pay me once and you get to use it for the rest of your life. And I think about it today, that was 20 years ago. And he's right, because some of the things that I'm using today, he's not getting paid on, but I'm still using it. So powerful. Time management. Let me share with you about these rocks. You see, as an organization, When we become clear on what the rocks are, the idea of rocks is this. If you took a 5-gallon bucket and you put pebbles, sand, all in it, you fill it up, and then it's filled to the top, and now you want to put these big rocks in. There's no room inside the bucket. You've already filled it with all the pebbles and sand. Isn't that what most business leaders do? Isn't that what most entrepreneurs do? I know I used to do that, right? Where I would put all the things that weren't important and they would go on my calendar, and I get all of those things done, but the things that were important weren't getting done. So one of the things that we do now with entrepreneurs and companies is we help them identify what are the major rocks that they want to accomplish, the big things. And we put that in the bucket first. Because if there's 3 or 4 or 5 major things that we want to accomplish in that year and it's in the bucket and we identify it, and over the next 4 quarters of that year, we're going to work through it and we're going to keep moving the ball down the court or moving the ball down the field, it's going to happen. Because then what happens is you take the sand and the rocks and the water and you fill it around it and you get maximum utilization of that bucket. So my question to you is this. How are you using the 8,760 hours that everyone has in a day? How are your people on your team? We got 8,760 hours, not in a day, in a year. So how are your team members using that? Are they getting the right sleep? Are they doing the right projects and rocks to move the ball forward? You know, I often talk about our 5 levels of strategy. The first level is tactical. And in tactical, it's day to day, week to week, month to month. Most business leaders never move beyond that. But then you go into operational, and those become quarter to quarter and year to year. Then you move into strategic, which is the rolling 24 months. Very few people, very few organizations get to that next level. That next level is foresight. It's where you start looking at short-term, 2 to 5 years, and long-term, 5 to 10 years, of what are the scenarios, what are the situations, what are the changes in the environment that we need to be looking at. And then legacy is where we look from 10 to 30 years, decade to decade, and then generation to generation. You see, my friend, is if we're managing and we're using time well and we're investing in our people, we're being coached. Listen, we own a coaching organization, and I know that. So I may be a little bit biased, but I also have seen my life transformed by it. I've seen my life, I've seen my wife and my relationship with my wife, I've seen our relationship and our business, I've seen the business, the things that we're able to accomplish. And I would just challenge you to say, if you've never done coaching, just explore it. Have a conversation with us. Have a conversation with someone else. But the greatest athletes, the greatest performers, they have someone that helps challenge them to become better. Let me give you the next one. The next benefit of investing in leaders is you have increased effectiveness. And my question to you is this, is what opportunities are being missed due to misalignment or team dysfunction? Oof. Listen to this. Poor team leadership contributes to an estimated $550 billion in lost productivity annually. $550 billion is being lost from team members that are not performing well. And not performing well, partially we may have team members that don't perform well because we maybe chose the wrong team members. Whether the people didn't have character, or maybe we brought a person on the team that doesn't have the competency. Or maybe we just have people on the team that lack confidence, but if you were to walk into their life, if you were to encourage them, if you would develop them, they would have confidence. They would become the leader that they were designed to be. I've had so many of those people come into our lives. We've grown them, we've developed them. And I would encourage you to look at that. Look at that and say, how can I, by developing and investing in my people, increase my team's effectiveness? Because now you're going to have people that are performing better. And if they feel good and they perform better, everything around them is going to get better. Let's give you the 5th one. Self-confidence. The benefits of investing in leaders is you increase their self-confidence. You know, self-confidence is something that you work on. It's something that I've worked on. It's something that you work on. But I want to give you an example of what happens a lot of the times when leaders don't understand the methodology. Remember earlier I was talking about Tiger Woods and his golf clubs, right? And would you rather have his golf swing or his golf clubs? Well, I'm going to share something with you, and this is Tiger Woods' golf swing. I'll share with you in a moment. So check this out. You ready? If you think, if you ever seen a butterfly, right, or you see a cocoon, right, and a caterpillar is in the cocoon, you see that there's a process when that caterpillar is in that cocoon and it's fighting to get out. It's fighting to get out, and it's pushing through to try to get out of that cocoon. And right there is a very important part because it's fighting to get out. And there was a study that was done. You can go on YouTube and find it. But actually someone had actually cut the cocoon so that the caterpillar didn't have to fight to get out. And that butterfly started flying away. And it died. And it fell to the floor and died. And the reason why I say that is this. As a leader, our job is to help our people get confidence. How do we help them get confidence? Couple of things. One is we help them get some wins under the belt. We help them borrow your confidence, right? So if you can lend someone confidence and they get some wins under their belt all of a sudden, that's great. But you know what most leaders do? Because they don't have Tiger Woods' swing, how he methodically built that swing, they cut the cocoon. They don't want to see the people struggle, so they just do the work. Instead of allowing that leader, allowing that person to fail forward. We call that the cycle of success. They test something, they fail, they learn, they improve, and they re-enter. But you know what most people do? They do the cycle of failure. They test, they fail, and they re-enter. You see, that's why investing in leadership, investing in your people is so key. Because how many times are your people going to have an opportunity to fail? A lot. And if we keep cutting the cocoon, we lose the multiplier effect of that moment. I remember many years ago, I had a young leader on our team, and we had hired her to do events. And she said to me, I want you to make some choices on an event we're doing. And I said, so-and-so, we hired you for that. And she's like, no, but I want you to make that. And I said, I appreciate that, but you know what the budget is. You know what the vision is. I want you to make that decision. And all I was doing at that moment is I was helping her become the leader that she became. And the reason why is because I know that I could have made that decision, but a year later, 6 months later, 2 months later, I would have been continuing to make those decisions. And those decisions that I would have made would have stopped her, would have stunted her growth as a leader. And today, my wife and I get the ability to see her grow into a leader that makes good decisions, that's consistent. But we didn't cut the cocoon. And as leaders, we have to choose to really allow our people to learn from the failures, not try to avoid failure, but to learn from them, to grow through them. Failure is a great lesson, as long as your identity is not attached to it. And when we invest in our people, we help our people build self-confidence. And I can tell you this, all things being equal, if you have a person that has self-confidence and a person who doesn't have self-confidence, the person with the self-confidence is going to accomplish more than the person without the self-confidence. That's leadership, my friend. Good stuff. Let's jump into this next one. The benefits of investing in people is you get better relationships. Now, you get better relationships. Check this out. Not just with your team members, because this is the cool thing. This is the thing that I've learned as we've worked with coaches over the last 20 years. The stuff that I learned in my business, I got to bring into my marriage. I got to bring into my friendships. I got to bring it into my relationships with my family, my brothers, my mom. Because they're transferable skill sets. So this is the amazing thing when we invest in our people. We develop them to be effective so that they can perform better at our companies. But they also get to have better relationships with those around them when they leave the workplace. And guess what, my friend? When they come and the people come back to your office, they say, well, it was my organization, it was my leader that invested in me. They get better relationships. So my question is what intentional practices and what intentional things are you putting in place in your organization, in your division, that's helping to build better trust? Now check this out. I'm going to give you a little tool that we use. It came from Harvard Business Review, and it's the 3 elements of trust. Because that word trust, it pings you sometimes, right? When someone says they don't trust you, think about it for a moment. It's like, you don't trust me? Like, what did I ever do to make you not trust me? I know when people used to say, I don't trust you, it would be like a sore, and it would be salt that was being put in the wound. But I started developing an understanding that trust really has these 3 elements. It's based on a study of 80,000 leaders that kind of said, this is what trust really is. This is it. You ready? Trust has 3 friends. It's good, positive relationships. So if you don't have a good, positive relationship with someone, it's harder to trust them. If you have a good, positive relationship with them, trust becomes a lot easier. The second is consistency. When someone's consistent, now hear me out. Consistency and complacency are not the same thing. Consistency is that you can depend on them and they constantly improve. Complacency is they show up and do the same thing week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out. That doesn't build trust. It erodes it. So we want good positive relationships, we want consistency, and then good judgment and expertise, making good decisions. You see, when those 3 elements are there, we develop our people, we build better relationships. And my friend, as you go into, working with your teams, picture building those 3 things, those 3 elements of trust into it. And you want to know what's going to happen? By investing in your leaders, you're going to get better relationships. And I can tell you this, when you have better relationships, the team works better. The people are more happy. The people are in an environment that they can trust one another because it's a safe space. Check this out. High trust organizations outperform low trust ones by 186%. Think of that for a moment. When there's high trust compared to low trust, those organizations are 186% better in returns. That's nuts. That's the power of investing in your people and developing your people. Picture you have now a high trust environment across all your areas of your business. Let me give you number 7. The number 7 benefit of investing in leaders. They communicate better. Communication is key because communication allows someone to understand why you're sharing what you're sharing. They understand the heart behind it. They understand because you can articulate clearly with clarity what you're trying to get across. But think of this. What are the consequences of avoiding difficult conversations? Sit there for a moment. I know in businesses, in entrepreneurs and their companies, in corporate America, I know that most organizations are avoiding difficult conversations. When someone doesn't do something right, they don't talk about it. When someone's not getting along, they don't talk about it. They sweep it under the rug. Mature leaders, I say this often on this podcast, mature leaders have mature conversations. And one of the greatest things about investing in your people is it allows you to also have real conversations with them. Because having difficult conversations is not a bad thing. We all have things that we're struggling through. I do, you do. But great leaders have conversations. They have tough conversations. They'll have the conversations that are important because they know that the integrity of that relationship matters. Let me give you number 8. Work-life balance. Investing in your people helps give work-life balance. Now, I'll say this. I think the generation we're living in right now has a distorted view on work-life balance. Let me explain what I mean by that. A lot of the younger generation right now is really thinking work-life balance is I get to do what I want to do, and then I can take care of my work after. That has never worked. You've never seen a culture, a business, or a society, or a nation that gives as little as possible and they thrive. That's never happened. So work-life, just so we're on the same page here, work-life balance is not give as little as possible and get as much as possible. A work-life balance is team members that understand the purpose, they understand the vision, they understand the values of your organization, they understand how to use their time well because they've been invested in and developed as leaders. And then because they use their time well, they don't take what they needed to get done in the office home with them. They can leave it in the office because they're effective in the office. Most people, and I'm going to share this, and just listen, don't shoot me down because I'm sharing real well. But most people, what they do is they don't do the stuff well in the office. So they have to take that stuff home with them. And then when they take that stuff home with them, it creates problems at home because they didn't do it well in the office. My friend, be fully present in the office. Have your people be fully present in your office. You're going to get tremendous work-life balance because then when your people are away from the office, they could actually be away from the office. I try my best, if I don't have to contact people all the time. Hey, do you know what's going on with this? Do you know what's going on with that? But I try my best to be intentional when we are with them in the office so that we can get the things that we need done so that when they're with their family, when they're with their friends, they don't have to, or their spouses, they don't have to always be 24/7 on call. Now, I will say this, that there are certain roles and certain responsibilities in an organization that you are. I got to tell you, my wife and I are on more than we're off, but we have healthy boundaries. We're very clear of when we're off and when we're on. That's our work-life balance. We've worked it out where I know Monday to Friday I'm all in, but Saturdays and Sundays are typically my time. Now, it doesn't mean that I don't work on Saturdays. I don't work on Sundays because that's my Sabbath and that's the day that I get to spend time with God. But I will tell you this, is that I've had to work through my work-life balance. And I'd encourage you to do that with your teams. And I'll tell you why it's important. Because companies that prioritize their people's well-being see 2.8 times. So that's 280% better engagement. And they see 70% less burnout. Think of that. Investing in our people, helping them get a real healthy understanding of work-life balance. There's a lot of unhealthy definitions of work-life balance, but there's a lot of healthy ones too. And one of the things that I just would encourage you as a leader, as you invest in your people, build a healthy work-life balance with your people. Some of your leaders, you're going to ask more of. Some of your leaders, you're not going to have to because they're going to be the ones that are just doing the day-to-day and the week-to-week, which is needed in every business. But then you're going to have leaders that are building the month-to-month, the quarter-to-quarter, the year-to-year, the 2-year rolling. And knowing how to build a good work-life balance and investing in your people is going to mean all the difference. Let me give you the last two. The last two. Number 9 is organizational return on investment. Think of this for a moment. Every dollar invested in leadership development yields a return on investment of $7. When you develop your people, now you can't look at it month to month, quarter to quarter. You got to look at it over a period of a few years. But when you invest $1 in developing your people, you get a 700% return on that dollar. 7 times. Now, check this out. Companies with strong leadership pipelines, they outperform their peers by 114% in shareholder return. Because having a leadership pipeline in any organization means that you have succession, you have scalability. If you only have 1 or 2 leaders on your team, how are you going to scale when opportunities come? You can't do that. So you have to be preparing and developing with foresight of how am I developing my people so when the opportunity arises, they're already developed. Because when the opportunity comes, it's too late to start developing them. You got to develop them now. You got to invest in the people now. Let me ask you this question here. Where might your current leadership gaps be costing you revenue? Because we haven't developed the people, so the people can't maximize the opportunities. What would your business gain if you were able to turn untapped potential into performance? This is getting a return on your investment for the organization. The organization getting maximum use of those dollars. If you remember earlier, I was sharing with you that organization that has about 30 million in payroll. Some of you that are listening to this are going to say, wow, I got significantly more than that. And some of you are going to say, I got significantly less. Just take the concept. It's taking the greatest asset we have, which is our people, and developing them so they grow and the organization grows. Let me give you number 10. The 10 benefits of investing in leaders is this. You get an individual ROI. The greatest thing I've ever done, I'm being dead serious right now. The greatest investment I've ever made was in Chad and Danielle. That was the greatest investment I've ever made because the investment of the coaches that I've hired over the years, I mean, we've spent significant, and I don't even say spent, we've invested significant resources, not 100,000, but significant resources over the years in developing Danielle and I to be the leader we are today. You don't just drift into it. You don't just drift into being a good leader. You have to intentionally grow into that. And my friend, we all know that you and I and the people on our team have potential. The difference is, are we going to be the ones that release that potential in them? Are we going to be the ones that come in and help them reach their potential so that the organization that they're helping grow, your organization, your division, my company, my division, the companies that are around us, that they can grow? But this is the key. Do you have a growth plan? I remember John Maxwell in the 70s. In the 1970s, he had a gentleman by the name of Kurt Kampmeyer. And Kurt came to John when John was in his early 20s. Now, many of you know John Maxwell is probably the most influential voice in leadership. He is also a friend and mentor to Danielle and I. But at that moment, almost 50 years ago, Kurt had asked John a question. And the question was this: do you have a personal growth plan? And John shamefully put his head down and was like, no. Because he said at that moment, I didn't realize that I actually needed to have a growth plan to grow. And whether you're the owner of the company, the leader of the division, a team member on the team, we all need a personal growth plan. We all need to develop ourselves and grow so we could reach our potential. You know, there's two things that we don't need to be intentional about. It's paying taxes, because it's going to happen whether you like it or not, and getting older. You don't have to be intentional to try to get older. You're going to get older every day. But are you going to get better is the question. Are your teams going to get better? Are the leaders on your team going to get better? And that's going to be if we develop ourselves. My friend, as I wrap up on today's podcast, I just want to encourage you that two things matter. I say this all the time. When I look at leaders, where they put their time and where they put their dollars. If you haven't put time to developing yourself and your people, and you haven't put dollars behind developing yourself and your people, then all it is a dream. And the visions that you have, and the visions of growing your company, and the visions of growing your division, they eventually will become a nightmare. Now, the great thing is that when you have a dream and you put time and resources behind it, it becomes a phenomenal movie. It becomes a movie because you can say that you intentionally choreographed that movie. But my friend, that doesn't happen by accident. We don't drift into the leader that we're supposed to be. We intentionally grow into that leader. And I'm going to say this for you. I believe that you have that talent. You have that potential. I believe that there's so much inside of you. And I just want to encourage you that in this upcoming year, in this upcoming quarter, in this upcoming month, that you will become the leader you were designed to be. I believe in you. Lion's Pride believes in you. Go become that leader. God bless you, and thank you for allowing me just some time into your life. Until next time, be well. And thank you for joining us on the Leadership Table podcast, because this is where mature leaders have mature conversations. And today we spoke about the 10 benefits of investing in leaders. Be well. Bye-bye. You're listening to the Leadership Table. I am so excited that you've joined us. Hey, listen. You want to join us in future episodes where we're going to invite some of our greatest friends, some of the greatest leaders we know to share all about their leadership journeys and just add tremendous value to you and your teams. Hey, listen, drop a comment below on your biggest takeaway, that what is impacting you the most. Like it, share it with those people that you know need to hear this message, and subscribe. And hey, listen, turn on the notifications. I just want to thank you because you are making a difference. As you help us, we help you, and we just divide the work and multiply the impact. My friend, thank you for joining us on the Leadership Table.